Everybody but Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley needs to drop out of this race now. They have no chance to actually win. There are a lot of people, and I'm going to talk about some of this, but Mike Pence, no chance. Vivek Ramaswamy, no chance. Chris Christie, no chance. Doug Burgum, who I thought was really good, no chance. Okay? We have narrowed it down, I believe, to 3 people who could be the Republican nominee in 2024. Donald Trump is the substantial favorite. There is no doubt at all about that. But Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, in my opinion, have established that they are the clear difference makers as it pertains to going forward from here. Tim Scott needs to drop out as well, if I didn't mention him earlier. Doesn't mean those guys haven't had good moments. Doesn't mean that they haven't been impressive, but I don't think they have any pathway to actually be the nominee. I was waiting for what we saw last night between Nikki Haley and Tim Scott to happen. Last night, I thought the 4 best performers on the stage were, in no particular order, Ron DeSantis, Doug Burgum, Nikki Haley, and Vivek Ramaswamy. The absolute killer on the stage, in my opinion, was Nikki Haley. She was attacking everybody. Ron DeSantis, Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy. Nikki Haley showed me last night that she has the ability to gut somebody. And I always think this is a good analogy. This is a metaphor. This is not a real explanation. At some point in time, if you are running for president of the United States, you have to be willing to gut somebody in the prison cafeteria. I think it's the perfect metaphor. You can be super nice. You can be conciliatory. At some point, you have to demonstrate that you are willing to walk up and just shiv somebody. Nikki Haley did that last night. She showed me that she has the killer instinct. I didn't expect her to go after Tim Scott like she did. I didn't expect her to go after Ron DeSantis like she did. I think some of you out there are going to say, okay, I didn't particularly like it. I didn't think it played well when she said that, for instance, Vivek Ramaswamy, what was the direct quote? I want to make sure I get it right. Every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say. That's what Nikki Haley said about Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't agree. I think you can attack Vivek for different policy perspectives and for different aspects of his candidacy. He's super smart. I don't ever feel dumber after Vivek Ramaswamy speaks. But sometimes attacks don't have to be honest. Look at Trump. Sometimes attacks just have to demonstrate that you want something so bad that you are willing to go over the top to get it. Nikki Haley showed me last night, I think she would stand on the stage with Trump, and I think she would gut him. I know Ron DeSantis would do it. I don't know that anybody else has a pathway to the presidency. And so, if you want Trump to be the nominee, if you are Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy, Mike Pence, Chris Christie, Doug Burgum, if you want Donald Trump to be the nominee, then you should stay in the race. If you do not want Donald Trump to be the nominee, then you should drop out and you should endorse someone else. There's nothing wrong with having Trump be the nominee. But the longer you stay in the race, the more you help Donald Trump. The more you give him cover, the more that you dilute the anti-Trump vote. And people out there get mad. There's, oh my God, you don't like Trump. You don't like. You're also emotional. I'm logical and I'm rational. 50% of people in the Republican primary so far are Donald Trump supporters. 50% support somebody else. We're to the point now where it's starting to get to, if you're a Tim Scott supporter, or you're a Chris Christie supporter, or you're a Mike Pence supporter, or you are a Doug Burgum supporter, or you are Tim Scott. I think I named the other 5 on the stage. You need to decide, Vivek Ramaswamy, who is your second choice? Because I don't think your first choice is going to win. I think Vivek has run an incredible campaign. Nobody knew by and large who he was. He has surged into one of the 4 or 5 most legitimate Republican candidates. It's an incredible accomplishment. feels like he's hit the ceiling. Feels like he's not breaking through and going to the next level now. I think if Vivek goes back and he looks at his candidacy, he's going to say, I made a hell of a run. I got up to double digits in some places. I've started to come back now. I think people are not ready for Vivek to be president of the United States. I don't know that they're ready for Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley, but I feel like there are two candidates out there who could be on the stage one-on-one versus Trump and actually go toe-to-toe with him. And I think Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis need to fight it out. I think they can fight it out in Iowa and in New Hampshire. I think there's a very good chance that one of those people will come in second. Maybe one of them wins. Because, I mean, again, it's not about the national polls. It's about Iowa and New Hampshire. Trump is not as strong in Iowa and New Hampshire as he is in the other states. That's why starting in January, things can change when people start actually being able to share their opinions. But if you are of the opinion that Trump is not your choice, then it's time for there to be a coalition and a real decision made. Okay, let's get it down to the finalists. Let's let them play. It's like the NCAA tournament, right? You start off with 68 teams. We've eliminated a bunch of people. I think we're effectively to the Final Four right now. At some point, the championship game happens, and Trump is going to be in the championship game. Somebody else is going to step forward and try to challenge him in that championship game. They may or may not be successful, but that's what needs to happen now. It's time for people to start dropping out of this race. Here's the deal. I don't think it's going to happen, though, because I think all of these guys out there and gals, I think that there's no real incentive for them to drop out. I think that Vivek Ramaswamy, why would he drop out? He's probably having the time of his life on the campaign right now. What does he care if he comes in third or fourth? That's way better than anybody anticipated. I think Mike Pence and Chris Christie are running against Donald Trump. They're not going to be the alternative to Trump, but they're getting way more attention now being on the stage and in the campaign than they would be if they dropped out. The challenge here is, think about it. Democrats don't screw around. I respect the cold-blooded calculation of Democrats. Do you remember the 2020 presidential campaign? Joe Biden got smoked in Iowa and in New Hampshire. Bernie Sanders was a big favorite coming out of Iowa and New Hampshire. And then Democrats said, Bernie's going to lose to Trump. We're not going to pick him. James Clyburn said, Joe Biden's the guy. And they just said, Biden's him, and they made Biden the nominee. All they cared about was electability. They looked at Bernie. They looked at Elizabeth Warren. They looked at Michael Bloomberg. They looked at Mayor Pete. Do you remember who was in second place when we got to Iowa? When we got to South Carolina? Number one, Bernie. Number two, Mayor Pete. Democrats just said, hey, Bernie's a socialist. Trump will beat him. I think that's correct. Mayor Pete is a gay white guy. Black voters ain't showing up for a gay white dude. And they said, Joe Biden's the choice. And they put Joe Biden in as their nominee, and he's the president of the United States because the power brokers in the Democrat Party said, he's the guy, boom, let's make it happen. It was clinical. It was nasty. It was anti the whole direction the campaign was going. Oh, it's Bernie. Oh, it's Mayor Pete. Oh, it's Elizabeth Warren. Screw all of them. Biden's the most electable. He's the pick. Boom. And it was Biden. Republicans are a mess. There's nobody out there. If Trump's the pick, so be it. But there's nobody out there who is suddenly going to say, hey, this needs to be a 2 or 3 person race. Everybody else needs to get off the stage. We're creating a situation where there's nothing to be gained by this. Boom, we're done. They don't even have an ability to get Donald Trump to get on the stage in the Republican Party. I think if we were down to 2 or 3 candidates, it would be very hard for Trump not to debate. If it were Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley and that's it, I think it would be very hard for Trump not to show up and debate. But again, Democrats, clinical, Analyze all the data. All we care about is winning. Let's find the candidate that makes it the most likely that we're going to win. Boom, they decided it was Biden. And based on the 2020 election results, they were right. That's why I still think that Biden's not going to be their guy in 2024. I think they're seeing all the numbers come out on Biden. I think they're going to wait it out. They may wait it out until they have a contested convention next summer when Joe Biden can barely walk and talk at the same time. And they come in, maybe it's Michelle Obama, maybe it's Gavin Newsom, maybe it's Pritzker. They have some sort of contested convention, and they pick the guy or gal they think is the most likely to actually win because they are savages. All they care about is winning. What did Al Davis say? Winning isn't, what did he say? Just win, baby? Sorry. I was going to say winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. I'm not sure who came up with that quote. Al Davis for sure is just win, baby. That's what Democrats do.